Hey, I'm Bridget from Hyperlite Mountain Gear. You could say I like backpacking. I've thru-hiked the Appalachian Trail, the Colorado Trail, the Tour du Mont Blanc. I was a ridge runner for the Maine Appalachian Trail Club. I've done a lot of backpacking. I really like it. Is that good?
That was great. Yeah.
Okay. These days, I like to carry a dialed-in, comfortable, lightweight, weatherproof kit. But my journey didn't start with this, and many of you can probably relate. So let's take a look at the setup I used for the AT. Looks a bit different than what I use now. So when I first started backpacking, this is what I thought it should look like. A big pack with lots of straps, load lifters, pockets for days, high volume, a lot of stuff that I thought I really needed. Let me show you some of the things that I packed in here, and this is why I kind of needed. But as you can see, this thing is 3 pounds, beautiful shade of green. Definitely thought I needed this, huge, heavy, but it fit in this pack, so you know, that's cool. Another thing I had, a pretty big, I don't know how much this weighs, but it's heavy. Sleeping pad, you know, totally fine, but also lots of volume. And then the tents, that's where they get you. This thing, not terrible, it's a 2-person tent, but as you can see, it takes up a lot of volume. These 3 things, as you can see, are heavy, voluminous, and really required this larger 65-liter pack on top of like 5 days worth of food, that sort of thing. Dude, I don't even know what I'm coming in at this weight, but we can measure that. So after a while, I started really feeling the weight of the pack. I got a lighter weight sleeping bag. I got a smaller 1-person tent. I ended up keeping the pad, but you know, it's a journey, you know. We slowly progress and lighten the load. And then I started to find that like I didn't even need the brain. I wasn't putting anything in the brain, and I ended up sending that back. Another thing that I needed to carry with this kind of style pack is a rain cover. And that's really one of the biggest things that made me decide to switch over not only to a lighter weight system, but one that is weatherproof and doesn't require extra gear, like a rain cover. You know, again, lots of volume, more weight. You know, a couple months in, I was getting into camp pretty fatigued. I was keeping up, you know, with all my peeps that I was hiking the trail with. However, you know, the weight was kind of weighing me down. And on the East Coast, on the AT, it rains a lot, so, you know, my pack and gear was getting a little bit waterlogged. It really started making me think, how could I do this differently? So on the trail, I saw a lot of other people hiking with modern, lightweight setups like Hyperlite. At first, I was a little intimidated. However, as I started to lighten my load here internally, I kind of saw the benefits of switching over to a Hyperlite pack. And I realized I just didn't need as much stuff and as many pockets and loop-de-loops and whatnots. Okay, let me put this, okay, cut to me putting all this shit back in here, blah, blah, blah. So eventually I switched over to a Hyperlite pack. And I went with this pack instead of some other brands because of the material. Dyneema is not only lightweight and durable, but that waterproof factor of it really was a deciding factor, and I didn't have to carry a pack cover. I also really love the roll top feature. It makes it way more versatile, so I could be using this for a thru hike where I need to carry a lot more food or water, or I could use it for backpacking on the weekends. I mean, heck, I even use it for day packing, you know, it's a vibe, you know? You look cool. Switching from this traditional setup to this modern setup, this is what I'll call it. It's definitely a journey, and you're continuously trying out new gear, lower volume, lighter weight. Maybe it doesn't last that long, maybe you wanna go up a little bit more in weight, but it's a little bit more durable. These kinds of things, these are all factors, and it's a continuous journey, just like an evolution, I like to call it. So let me break down some of the gear inside my pack that makes it a little bit more dialed, lightweight, durable. So as you can see, like I said, you know, roll top, great, versatile, volume. I love the 55. Oh, hey, I'm back. Okay. Anyway, so I got all my stuff laid out, stuff from my traditional original pack setup. and some of my current setup over here. Kind of want to break down and show you, at least visually, the difference of this type of gear. So one of the first things I swapped out was my sleeping pad. This is fine, you know, and it was comfortable. However, as you can see, it takes up a lot of volume. And I switched over to a Thermarest sleeping pad. This one's the Hyperlite, but there's other ones that are a little bit bigger that work just as well. And as you can see, saved a lot of room and probably at least a pound, maybe, on this. Another thing that I swapped over was my quilt. So where I felt like I could cut the most weight and volume was my sleep system, including my shelter. For my quilt, I switched over to a Hyperlite 40-degree quilt. We also carry a 20-degree. And as you can see, I mean, you can't feel, but this is way heavier than this, and this packs down so nicely in the side entry pod. I save so much weight and space. This just takes up so much space. It's not as cute and green, but... and then I also got a lighter setup with both Thermarest, but a lot smaller sleeping pad. Both blow up, but this one works just as well. Lower volume, lower weight. Save a lot of room. And then, for the kicker here, the shelter setup here. You know, I don't really need a two-person shelter. You know, I got plenty of space with the one. As you can see, this mid one versus this two-person freestanding tent, I'm saving not only a ton of weight, but also, again, volume. A nice thing too about Dyneema and these more durable fabrics is I don't need a ground cloth either. So again, just reducing the amount of stuff I need to carry. Speaking of multi-use, love this stuff sack pillow, just throwing that out there. It doubles as a clothing bag, water protection, and then the nice felt inside. You can put it inside out and sleep cozy. Okay, what else? Just some other little things that I transitioned. You know, instead of carrying a Nalgene or like a plastic water bottle, I just kind of opted for, I mean, this is super cheap, but a smart water bottle is also a liter. I also switched over, instead of like a pump, a water filter with all this, I mean, I don't even want to get into it, guys. It's a lot of finagling, it's clogged, you know. I switched over to a Sawyer. This is pretty common on a lot of thru hikers. You use this. And the nice thing is it goes right onto a smart water bottle. So when you're packing for traditional gear, you sometimes pack for your fears. And so, you know, used to carry a nice large medical kit that you get from RI or whatnot. You know, I'm not usually using all, you know, 50 Band-Aids on a trip. So I've just kind of slimmed that down using one of the Hyperlite 0.3 liter stuff sacks to just kind of make a more dialed in first aid kit with some ibuprofen, Band-Aids, ointments, little things. I went from a jet boil, which is totally fine. Yeah, it does come with a lot of doodads and whatnots here. Instead of this whole setup, I really slimmed it down to a nice MSR pocket rocket. Titanium pot. Dude, this thing weighs nothing. Titanium spoon. Again, these are all a process. I didn't start out with all these, and so slowly working my way down to a more dialed kit. One thing I really love about the Hyperlite system, is, you know, what we'll call it, is that all these organizational pods, stuff sacks, they all fit seamlessly into the bag. Whereas this traditional setup, as you can see, all these pieces of gear are a little wonky sizes, and it's a little bit of a juggle to make everything fit. And on top of that, the Hyperlite system, all these are made of Dyneema, which are waterproof materials. So I'm just ensuring that my system stays dry, which is very important to me living on the East Coast. It is rainy and wet. You know, breaking it down, you can see that these two setups are night and day. And while I was able to finish the AT with this Hyperlite setup, I'm just able to enjoy the outdoors a lot more. I'm not worrying about weight, able to do more miles. I'm not worrying about rain or weather. I'm just getting out there and having a good time. And, you know, to just even show you the weight difference. There we go. Got my little handy thingamajig here. Okay, let's take a guess. So this isn't even including water, food, or even clothes. And I'm at just around 18 pounds for this setup. Again, this isn't including food or water or clothes. We're coming in at, yeah, just over 6 pounds. So 6 pounds versus 18 pounds. I mean, the proof is in the weight here. It's not a phrase, but now it is. You can check out this gear, not this gear, hyperlitemountaingear.com. Get out there, explore, get outside, hashtag, and exit.